jalaban la dispersa mercancía en la desnuda soledad, cercada de clamores y granas alejándose. Con recio baladro de cencerros, los piños de cabra salían a las eras. Hay un clamoró muerto en la trena. Ha sido esta feria un estropicio. Fuera solamente ruido. Por la carretera en las ancas de un muro, al cabo de una legua, canta el berebé.
It seems to me that one of the problems which most of us have not very deeply and fundamentally faced is the question of domination and submission. Why is it that we dominate, consciously or unconsciously? There is domination in different ways, not only in private life, but the whole tendency of governments is also to dominate. Why is this spirit of domination going on constantly, from period to period? Only very few seem to escape it. Can we think of it in a different sense? That is, can we understand it without going to the opposite? Because the moment we recognize it, the moment we are aware of this problem of domination, we at once begin to submit. Or we think of it in terms of the opposite, submission. Can we look at the problem directly without the opposite? Perhaps we shall then be able to understand this whole complex problem of domination, seeking power over another or submitting oneself to another. After all, submission is another form of domination. To submit oneself to another is the negative form of domination. By the very denial of domination, one becomes submissive. First of all, one must be aware of the obvious crude form of domination. Most of us are aware of it, if we are at all alert. But there is the unconscious domination of which most of us are unaware. That is, this unconscious desire to dominate takes the guise of service, of love, of being kind, and so on. Now, what is it that we unconsciously want to dominate? Probably most of us are unaware that we dominate at different levels, not only in the family, but at the verbal level as well. And also there is this inward desire to seek power, to seek success, which are all indications of domination. Why? Why do we want to dominate another or be subservient to another? If one consciously put that question to oneself, what would be the response? Most of us wouldn't know why we want to dominate. First of all, there is the sensation, the unconscious pleasure of dominating somebody. Is that the only motive which makes us want to dominate? That's part of it, but there is much more to it, a much deeper significance. I wonder if you have ever watched yourself dominating in relationship. And if you have been conscious of it, what has been your response, your reaction? And why shouldn't we dominate? In relationship, which is life, do we understand through domination? In relationship, if I dominate you or you dominate me, do we understand each other? After all, that is life. Relationship is life. Relationship is action. And if I only live in the self-enclosing action of domination, is there any relationship? Is not domination a process of isolation which denies relationship? Is not domination a process of separation which destroys relationship? And is this really what I'm seeking? Can there be relationship between two people if there is any sense of domination or submission? Life is relationship. One cannot live in isolation. But is not our purpose unconsciously to isolate ourselves within that feeling of aggressive assertiveness which is domination? So is not the process of domineering a process of isolation, and isn't this what most of us want? Because to be open in relationship is very painful. It needs intelligence and adaptability, quickness, understanding. And when that is not, we try to isolate ourselves. Is not the process of domination a process of isolation? Obviously it is. It is a process of self-enclosure. And when I'm encased in my own opinion, my own desires, my own ambitions, my urge to dominate, am I related? And if there is no relationship, how is any real existence possible? Is there not constant friction and therefore sorrow? So our unconscious desire in relationship is not to be hurt, to seek security, refuge. And when that doesn't happen, there is no fulfillment. Then I begin to isolate myself. And one of the processes of isolation is domination. There is not only the desire to assert, to dominate, or be submissive, but there is also in this process of isolation the consciousness of being lonely. After all, most of us are lonely. Most of us are isolated. We live in our own world. Though we may be related, we may be married and have children, we still live in a world of our own. And that is a very lonely world. And to escape from that, we try to be something, we try to assert, we try to dominate. So in order to escape from what we are, domination becomes a means through which we can take flight from ourselves. Does not this whole process of domination take place not only when there is the desire to avoid facing that which we are, but also when there is a desire to be isolated? If we can look at this process in ourselves, if we can be aware of it, I think we will really experience that state of isolation from which we are trying to run away. And then we shall be able to solve it. That is, if we understand something, we are free of it. It is only when we don't understand that there is fear. So can we look at this problem without condemnation? Can we just observe? Silently watch this process at work within ourselves? It can be observed very easily in all our relationships. Just silently watch the whole phenomenon unfold itself. You will find that when there is no condemnation, no justification for your domination, it begins to unfold. There is no hindrance. Then you will begin to see all the implications, not only of personal domination, but also of public domination, the domination of one group by another, of one country by another, of one ideology by another, and so on. Self-knowledge is essential for any kind of understanding. And as our relationship is life, without relationship there can be no existence. Can there be love when there is domination? Can you be in relationship to someone whom you say you love and yet dominate? You are just using. And when there is using, there is no relationship.